everyone, it's Deanna,
Aaron,
and Celeste, and you're catching up on this week's episode of Two Brunettes and A Gay
on the podcast.
Okay, so last night I had the pleasure of attending Breakthrough's mental health research meal, or I guess it's called the biggest men's mental health dinner. Okay?
Yeah.
First of all, let me say, this is a really important topic, obviously.
Absolutely.
It's one that we've never talked about, obviously. It's not necessarily the style of things that we talk about on our show, but I do want it to be said that I think it's super important to address this, that obviously mental health is an issue across everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
But tackling the idea of mental health when it comes to men is even greater, because I feel like it's just something that does not get discussed, and it does not probably get the time and attention that it deserves. So we did learn some interesting statistics at the event last night, which is 7 out of the 9 lives lost to suicide in Australia are men.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy. And 43% of men will experience a mental illness in their lifetime.
Yeah, wow.
Which is crazy. And a quarter of men say that they would actually never ask for help if that happened to them.
Yeah, that's scary, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah.
Quite confronting.
Really.
Yeah.
And it really was a beautiful night where we got to listen to some brilliant speakers and people that you wouldn't expect, I guess. You know, there was like football players and farmers and, you know, men talking, I guess, from the lens that you wouldn't necessarily expect to hear from, which was really great. We got to do some great exercises. But I was in attendance actually as a guest for my husband's work.
Yeah.
And I had the pleasure of meeting some of the people that had come along for his work. And all were really, really lovely.
Careful what you say here.
No, genuinely, all the people that attended were really, really lovely. The funny part about it was, however, when we had this dinner, we had pre-drinks first.
Yeah.
It was at the Adelaide Oval. You have pre-drinks first in the entrance area, and then they took us upstairs to the, I guess, big gala room, function room, whatever it is. And we sat down and, you know, naturally, Jake, my husband, sits next to me. And about 2 minutes later, he gets up to go to the toilet. When he comes back, one of the people that is there attending with his work, they don't work with him, took his seat to sit next to me and have a conversation with me.
Okay, that's fine.
Right. And then this conversation just stemmed into this guy never leaving. And so Jake never got his chair back. He had to actually move and go and sit somewhere else.
Oh.
And it was quite funny because I was like,
That's awkward.
That is super awkward.
do you say something? Like, do you?
So wait, he could tell that Jake was sitting, like Jake was sitting there first?
Had was sitting there first. Jake's jacket was on the chair.
Right,
Oh, that's
okay.
even more awkward.
Did Jake have like a drink there or something, or?
I believe he had put a glass down.
Yeah, okay.
From the drinks downstairs, he had brought it up with him and put a glass
Right.
down. And so I was thinking to myself, like, of course, and I, you know, had a lovely chat with this guy all throughout the night. He was actually a really lovely person, you know, showing me pictures of his wife and kids and that type of thing, and we're talking about all different types of things. But it made me think, I was like, do you say something in this situation? And you're like, oh, look, sorry, I'm really sorry. You're actually in someone's chair. Or we didn't. We left it, obviously, and you know, neither of us said anything. But I was like, is this strange?
Aaron's face.
It sounds like he wanted a piece of Celeste.
I believe he did.
I think he wanted you, Celeste. It's just super odd that someone would sit there for that long, knowing that the husband had to move permanently throughout the dinner. It's very odd.
You know,
It's
to
super
me,
awkward.
it's just so unbelievable how, like, some people have no self-awareness whatsoever.
No, there's no
Did it
social
seem
cues.
like he actually noticed, or he was completely ignorant? Like, did he notice and he was doing it anyway, or was he completely ignorant to the situation?
Yeah, this is key, I reckon.
Look, I actually said to Jake in the initial, like, first few conversations, maybe the first couple of hours.
Yeah.
Because we talked about a whole range of things.
Yeah.
I actually said to Jake, initially I was like, I feel like this is the type of guy that's, like, looking for someone to... He was married.
Is he older than you?
Not by much.
Okay.
Maybe by, like, less than 10 years.
Was he
Okay.
hot?
He wasn't hot, no, but he was, like, not unattractive.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Just neutral.
Just neutral.
Right?
Yeah.
I did say to Jake, initially I was like, I think this is a kind of guy that's like, well, you know, he mentioned that he never gets to go out and, you know, like he said to his wife, you know, he had this on.
man.
And I was like, I'm wondering if he's looking for, like some entertainment, if you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah,
on the side.
Yeah.
But then by the end of the night, I was like to Jake, I don't really know actually, because then he was showing me a picture of his wife and kids, and, we're talking about like what he does and what he's doing on the weekend together with them. And he was very like open and honest about his wife and what they, what they like to do, where they go and what she does for work. And I was like, maybe he's just a really nice person. Because that's the other part of it. Is it like some people can just be nice and we're just judging them?
I don't know.
I don't know. You guys are looking at me like, no,
it's a
not
bit of
thing.
both. Like, it's kind of like getting a bit of getting kicks as far as you can.
Yeah,
Do you know
you're
what I
pushing
mean?
the envelope as far as
But
you
then
can.
also like reassurance on top of it, like, oh, but I'm happily married and here's my. I don't know.
Maybe he was sussing out your reaction to the wife as well. Maybe he wanted to invite you into the relationship, Celeste.
Oh, that took a turn.
The part of it, the part of it that's interesting is obviously I was introduced to him as Jake's wife.
Yeah.
So he very much knew that I was married, and he knew my husband was there. Like, that's who he knew. So
Is he like Jake's boss or something?
No.
So he's not like trying to say to Jake, hey, if you want to get ahead in your career, this is what I want.
No. And I don't know if
Get
Jake
ahead.
would get any further ahead in his career if that was the case. But I was wondering, like maybe he just thinks, like he's had to bring his wife along. He had to. Jake's lucky to have.
Because you're a chore.
I know. Like she's had to come along and maybe she doesn't know anyone. And maybe he was just being a really nice person. Or maybe, I don't know. Like
Maybe you're too nice. Because I feel like if this was Aaron in this situation, like, you wouldn't have been so nice, would you?
No, I would have been pretty honest, to be honest.
Well, he was asking me quite personal questions like, how do you guys resolve conflict in your relationship? And like, is this weird?
Oh, my God. That is super
That
weird.
sounds creepy to me. I'm sorry. Creepometer.
I think it's a bit creepy, but a bit hot too, so let's just go send him a text.
Aaron's like, listen, can you give me his number? So, as I was talking to you guys before the break, and we chatted about this in the break, you guys are fairly set on the fact that this guy was in fact hitting on me.
Yeah.
But really, the point of the evening was not about Celeste getting hit on. The point of the evening was to discuss men's mental health and open up a conversation.
Yeah.
Which is super important. And so their way of doing this, or facilitating some conversations, there was a lot of speeches throughout the night, so there wasn't a huge amount of time to talk, to be honest with you, but was they had what they called spark conversation cards.
Yeah.
Where there was a number of cards on each table, and each of them had questions written on them for you to ask the people at your table or talk to the people at your table to have, I guess, conversations about things you maybe wouldn't normally talk about.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
Which
That's
I
cool.
thought,
That's a good idea.
Which I thought was quite interesting, because I thought in this environment where, let's say a lot of the tables are like corporate.
Yeah.
This is a great way for people to have things to talk about. Otherwise, they wouldn't necessarily know each other or know where to go with certain conversations. So one of the questions on our table, and I thought about it when I was answering it, and I was like, I need to ask Deanna and Aaron this, because I feel like this could be quite funny.
Yeah.
So the question was, what do people assume about you that isn't true? And I wanted to ask the two of you, what do you think people assume about you that isn't true?
That I'm gay.
That is completely false.
That's a lie, Maury.
What do you think people think when they look at you?
What, an alcoholic?
Yeah, look, that's probably accurate. But
I don't drink in the mornings.
they're
unless it's
not
Saturday.
wrong.
Yeah, no, they're not wrong.
No.
What do you think
No,
people think when they
yeah.
look at you that you're like, that's absolutely wrong? I'll give you mine, right?
Okay,
I said,
it's a hard question to
Okay, it is.
answer.
It is hard.
I actually said mine was, I get told often that I'm unapproachable. People
Yes.
say to me all the time that I look really unapproachable, or they
Yeah.
didn't think they could talk to me, or
Yeah.
they didn't know how to talk to me. And I'm like, I feel like I'm a really nice person.
Yeah, right.
Unless you piss me off. No, I feel like I'm
Yeah.
a really nice person, but I get told all the time I'm unapproachable. I have resting bitch face, and people
Yeah.
are like, oh, we thought you were going to be rude, or we thought you were going to be mean. That was mine.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So what do you think people assume about you?
Mine is that people think that I'm really serious and professional.
Yeah?
Yeah, I get that.
Most
yeah, I can
people
see
are
that.
like, oh my God, when I first met you, I thought that you were like super, like, you know, shit together, like serious, professional. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you get to know you, you're like, I'm so relaxed.
Yeah.
I think
too relaxed.
I think the thing with that is as well is like you've got your online profile and then you've got your real life personality. And some people think that your online personality is you.
Is me. Yeah. Like I naturally present really well in a public arena, but I've never actually put myself there on purpose.
So let's put you in a public arena.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you know
Put
what?
me on stage. I love it.
I reckon mine is that people assume that I'm super confident.
Yes.
I would agree.
Actually, that's true.
Because everyone says, "Oh, you go on stage, you perform, you sing, you do all this stuff." But for me, like I love doing that, of course. But like public speaking, even doing this radio, I get nervous.
Out of the three of us, you're the one who gets the nerves.
The most nerves, absolutely.
Or gets the most self-conscious about what we're doing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever assumed you're straight?
You guys assumed I was the straight one.
Oh, we did. Yeah, we thought you were straight.
Compared to someone else.
When I think back to that, though, and I wish we could just throw up a picture of Aaron when he was that age. Because you were, 20, 21 when we met you?
22.
22 when we met you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could, I don't know how we got it wrong.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you dressed quite, flamboyant.
I was way more flamboyant back then. I had the bleached hair, I was more flamboyantly dressed.
Yes.
I was very, very skinny, whereas now I'm kind of dressed like a repressed straight man.
But also you're 25.
Yeah, you are. You
So
dress a little bit more Adelaide these days.
I've kind of done like a Benjamin Button with gayness.
I think it's so funny, though, that we thought that you were straight. But there you go. And I thought that was such an interesting conversation. What do you think people assume about you?
That's a really interesting question.
I'd really love to actually hear from listeners what they assume about us. If they've never met us before, what do they think about us? Or when they hear us, are they like, oh, I bet Celeste is like this, or I reckon Deanna's like this? And,
they
I wonder if they're right or wrong.
assume that we're really dumb, and they wouldn't be completely
wrong.
They wouldn't be completely wrong about that one.
Hey everyone, it's Deanna, Celeste and Aaron here, or as you know us, your Two Brunettes and a Gay.
Join the weekend happy hour at a new day and time every Saturday at 11 a.m.
So pour your mimosa for the most fabulous bottomless brunch in town.
Only on Saturdays at 87.6 FM, Radio Italia Uno.